All right, we're live. We are live. Let me make an announcement. Hello, everybody joining. Hello, hello. At Academy. All right. Welcome, everybody. What's up, Bam? Hey, Bread. What's up, Future Somehow? Calcoin in the house. NJ, what's up? What's up? Olabanji. Q2 Thek is back at it again. Ricardo, hey, hey, hey. W Falcon. Ricardo, I saw your DM. I'll get back to you after this one. What's up on Chase? You know, BZ, I think the Flow team actually released a tool that you can use to see what your upgrades are.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it, but I always like just having you testing stuff and like making videos, and then I just do the same thing. I don't have to read anything, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, if you don't end up doing it, I have to look into it since otherwise we can use our contract, I guess.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, interesting. All right, who else we got in here? Ooh, we got Numini. What's up, Numini? Davon back. What's up, Davon? Gonna share my screen here. Look at what we have to do today. We'll get started in a couple minutes here once everyone sort of heads in. All right. Yeah. Cool. We got a lot to do. What's up, Tennessee? No. Hey, snowmobiles. Ukendor, what's up? Good to see you again. Snowmobiles, what time is it for you again? Isn't it 9 in the morning? Or are you also central? Yeah, that's right. Wow, 9 a.m. for you. I'm such a night owl that 9 a.m. for me is like just so early. Like I could never do that. I'm even struggling at 11 a.m. here. Yeah, yeah. What's up in rotation? All right, so we're gonna get started in 2 more minutes. Wait for everyone to roll in. Ashley in the house. What's up, Ashley? How you doing? What's up, Kukendor? It's Jaroon, right? What's up, Theta Fuels? Jaroon. I remembered. Cooking potatoes while learning cadence. Nice, nice. After this, I'm gonna go eat some breakfast. Maybe even go back to bed. What's up, Theta Fuels? I'm good. Thanks for asking. Ready for this workshop. All right. 1 more minute. Then we'll kick things off. We got 21 people in here. Nice. Oh, I should also ask, how is the academy going for everybody? How are the quests going? Also, what chapter are people up to? Just out of curiosity. I'm curious to know if more people are like up to the current chapter or not. Playground is frustrating. Oh my god, I know. It's so annoying. Oh, you're finishing chapter 2, Ricardo? Nice. Awesome. NJ, that's totally fine. I think you'll still be able to follow along today. But yeah, QG Tech, oh my god, the playground is so frustrating. I wish they would fix it. The solution as of now is just to go slowly. And I would teach you how to do it on VS Code, but then there's a whole other layer of problems too. Yeah, playground is so annoying. If there's one thing I wish they could fix, it's that. Yeah, exactly, Ashley. Right? So true. To work better on Chrome versus Edge, to be honest, I'm not sure. I would assume Chrome is the best one to go with because Chrome is just usually the default. But I'm not sure if there's actually a difference. Hey, BT Wood. BT Wood in the house. Jacob, do you have problems on VS Code like the language server crashes? Yeah, so the language server on VS Code is a lot better than Playground, like a lot better, but it crashes all the time, especially when I use paths. If I use paths, the language server just completely crashes. But it's better than the Playground. All right. So it is 11:05 my time in Central Time Zone, the United States. Welcome everybody to workshop number 2. It's good to have you all back here. Our first workshop was 2 days ago, where we went over just the basics of the Flow blockchain. We learned a little bit about the blockchain cadence, contracts and transactions and scripts. And today we're going to be taking all of our knowledge that we learned during our, first workshop, and we're going to start applying it to more complicated concepts. So today's definitely going to be more code heavy. And I hope that, I'm able to explain it in a manner where people don't get totally lost. But I'm thinking I'm going to stick with that like thumbs up, thumbs down mechanism. So if at any time after I cover a topic, I'm going to send a little emote in the chat. And if people are struggling, just totally let me know at any time. And feel free to ask any questions. I'll mute your mic. It's totally open for everybody. So one other thing I'll mention is that we're all chatting in the text channel. So yeah, so if you want to keep up with the chat, go in the text channel. Alrighty, so without further ado, let's go to the script tab over here. And right now, we're gonna forget all about contracts, and we're just gonna start messing around with some scripts just to see what happens. So we're not gonna return anything. We're just gonna execute some code in here. And yeah, let's get started. So in yesterday's or in the other day's workshop or in previous chapters, and for the record, we're doing chapter 2 day 3 right now. So chapter 2 day 3, where we're talking about arrays, dictionaries, and optionals. All right. So in previous workshops, we sort of went over some basic data types. Now, what does a data type mean? Well, let's say we have like let thing, or let's just say var thing equals hello, right? What type is this, right? This is a string. And one way that we can actually like make sure that it's a string is we can do this little piece of thing right here. We can put a colon and then a string here. Now, this is really helpful because what this does is it basically, ensures that this actually is a string. And the reason for that is because if we put like int here, right, then it's going to give us an error. It's going to say, hey, mismatched types, expected int and got a string. So we know that there's something wrong right off the bat, right? Now, of course, fixing it would just changing this to 10, or, the actual fix would just be to put, string here. So this lets us know that it's actually a string. And like I said, there's other types of things. So let's just say this is like a greeting. Let's say var number is going to be an integer equals 10. But there's a lot of other different data types that you might see as well. And by data type, I mean these things right here. These are types. So one other thing, let's just keep exploring some other things. Let's say var, positive number equals 10, and we're gonna make this a uint 64. So a UN64 is just like an integer, except it's unsigned. So that U means unsigned. And what unsigned means is it's positive. So it's either 0 or above. It can't be negative. And the 64 means it's 64-bit. So that means it's some number between 0 and like some big number. I don't know what the number is, but it's some big number like this. So it means it's between there. Now you'll notice that in pretty much like all of my contracts, I always use UN64. It's probably the most commonly used data type, to be honest, along with string. So you're probably going to actually see not a lot of integer, but you're going to see a lot of UN64. So that's just one thing to keep note of. And then another really common one is address. So if we call this like a count or something and we make it like 0x01, this is actually an address type. Now you'll notice that in the real world, like it's a lot longer than this, right? It's actually like some long address. Here, I'll get an example. It usually will look something like this, right? This is like a flow address. But on the flow playground, we use these short addresses because they're all test accounts. So, I'll just leave it there. That's an address. And these, so these are some very basic types that we can use in our programs. Hey, what's up, Meta? Also, no worry, Defameless Gamer. That's totally fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. Welcome, Big Daddy. All right, cool. Yeah, those are some basic types, right? Now let's keep going to some more complicated ones. So the first one we're going to talk about is arrays. What the heck is an array? Well, an array allows us to store a bunch of different things inside one little variable. Remember, this is a variable, this is a variable. So let's say var list. And this is going to be a list of names. So we're going to make an array of strings, right? Which is what these brackets mean. And now we can open up a list. So let's say Davon. Let's say Davon. Oops. We'll say Jacob. We'll say BZ. We'll say Sweet. Right? So these are all of you. Now notice that because it's an array, it's a list of different things. So we can put 4 different strings in here, and we surround them all in these little brackets. So this is what you call an array. It's a bunch of different things listed inside of one variable. Now, these arrays can be used for any type. So we can even have var, list of numbers, and that's going to be a, list of integers. So let's just put list of int, and that would be, 0, 1, 2, 3. Let me mute. So that'd be like, 0, 1, 2, 3, 15. We could put like, negative 10, some other huge number, right? And this is a list of integers. So it's not that complicated, but it's really it's super helpful because it allows us to store a bunch of different ones in the same array. Now let's see what happens if I try to do like another list. So another list. And let's call this like an array of addresses, right? Boom. So what happens if I try and do like 0x01, right? That's all good, right? And this is totally fine. But what happens if I add like hello here, right? Uh-oh, there's a problem. Mismatch types, expected address got string. So you'll notice that we can't mix and match types. They have to be the same, right? So this is arrays right here. Arrays. All right, and I'll even increase the font in case that helps. So now let's go on to dictionaries. And after dictionaries, I'll pause and see if anyone has any questions. So dictionaries are a little different because dictionaries are a way to store a key and a value. So what does that mean? Where, arrays are just lists, a dictionary maps a key to a value. And each key only has one value. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at it. So var mapping is going to map a integer to a string. And what this is going to look like is instead of like the brackets, you put the curly braces. So we can map, like the number 1 to Justin Bieber. Love Justin Bieber. We can map, 15 to Sweet. We can map 100 to, who else is in here? Snowmobiles. Right? So the difference between an array, and let's just get rid of this one because it's an error. The difference between an array and a mapping is that look at what the mapping's doing. It's mapping an integer to a string. So right now, 1 is being mapped to Justin Bieber, and 100 is being mapped to snowmobiles. So this is a really, really useful way of storing data where you want to, associate 2 things with each other. Now, keep in mind that there can only be 1 of each key. So, for example, because 1 is here, I can't do this, right? I can't map this to another one. Like, let's do Ricardo, right? This isn't allowed. Now you'll notice it's not going to give me an error, but the reason for that is because this is just going to overwrite this one. So when this, dictionary actually gets put in place, this won't exist anymore because this is overwriting it. Yeah, it's like a matching. Exactly, Brett. Yeah, you're totally right. But the one thing that I will mention is that you can have multiple values. So for example, if I made this like 10,000, I can map this to Justin Bieber, and this is totally fine. So both this one and this one will exist, unlike before. So you can only have one of each key, but the values don't matter. So yeah, that's a dictionary. Now, again, what's going to happen if we try and mix and match types? Well, let's just say like var another one, and we try and map a string to an int, right? So if we're mapping a string to an int, what's going to happen if I try and do 1 to sweet? It's going to be a problem, right? Because this one's mapping a string to an integer, and this one's trying to map an integer to a string. So we can't mix and match the types here. And even more than that, even if we got like the first one right, we can't map it to a different one, because this is expecting a string to an integer, and this is mapping a string to an address. Now, of course, I picked a bad example because an address is also technically a number, but you get the point, right? If I tried to map this to like hey or hi, it's going to be an error because this is in string and it's expecting an integer. So yeah, so that's a little bit about dictionaries and arrays. Now, what can we actually do with these things? Well, let's take a look. So let me actually I'll leave these here. But let's go ahead and log list, right? So we're going to log this list right here. All right, so let's execute, and boom, here's our list: Davon, Jacob, BZ, and Sweet, right? Which is this right here. Now, how do we access certain elements in this array? Well, we can use curly braces and then put a number inside of here. Now, if you've never like coded before, or you're not really familiar with programming, these numbers always start from 0. So even though you would think that this is like element 1, this is element 2, this is element 3, element 4, the way that it always works in computer science is this is element 0, and then this is element 1, 2, 3. So even though this array has a length of 4, this element starts with 0. So list at 0, if we print this, is actually Davon. So I don't know why it didn't update. I think it's the playground's being stupid again, right? Oh my god. Wait, let me just copy and paste this just in case. Oh, okay, thank God I copied it. So if I paste it, hopefully it'll work. Oh my god, playground. Makes it so hard to teach. Oh, okay, thank God. Wait, did that work? No. Oh my god. The problem is that there's like literally nowhere else to show you guys. Well, anyway, I guess we can't rely on Playground right now. But essentially, this would print Davon. So I'll just put the result for you. I know buggy tools are the worst. It's the worst because it's just impossible to teach people. Because how am I supposed to teach people if I can't even show them what's going on? But yeah, anyway, so I'll just tell you the result, and if you trust me, then that we're fine. But so list at 0 is going to print Davon because it's the first element in this array. And actually, why don't I just delete this one so we can better more clearly see? So yeah, exactly. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, Bam, should I actually use my own tool? Wait. I might be able to just use our tool. Yeah, actually. Wait, hold on, everybody. I'm gonna pull up I'm actually gonna pull up Emerald City's tool and let's see if it works better. Let's take a look. So, for context, the people here at Emerald City, we developed our own tool for mainnet and testnet, and I'm curious if it's gonna work better. So let's try it out. If it did, that'd be so funny, actually. Let's see. It's actually not even released to the public yet, so this is the first time we're sort of showing it to the public. So yeah, so we actually developed our own thing here, and this is all on testnet right now. So you'll see we're on testnet right now, and I can switch it to mainnet. But let's see what happens if I actually bring this over here. I'm curious. It's gonna look ugly, but it'll at least work. Or maybe not. Oh. Okay. So let's see what happens. Is it gonna log anything? Oh, that's interesting. I guess not. Wait. Oh, it's not gonna log. Okay, I have to return it. That's the problem. No, this isn't gonna work well, and I'll show you why. It's because if I actually return listed 0 here, it's gonna work totally fine. But it only prints return values. So yeah, you'll see it actually it does print down here. That's cool, I guess. So I don't know. We can use this for now. So yeah, let's use this for now. Okay, so let's get rid of yeah. So we're paying attention to here, right? So we're gonna return the listed 0, which is Davon, right? Now let's also what how do we print? I'm gonna give this to all use test. How do we print this one right here? What are we gonna have to put right here in order to print this one? 2, right? Good. Perfect. So listed 2 will print BC. Perfect, right? And then 3. 3 will print sweet. Now what's gonna happen if I put 4 here? Let's try it out. Uh-oh, nothing. So nothing happens when I put 4 here because there's nothing at 4, right? So that's all good, right? Yay. Okay, we did it. Now, what are some other functions we can use to actually to change this array? Well, one thing we can do, and let's actually down here, let's put return list, and we're going to return an array of strings, just like this. What's going to happen when we try and modify this array? Well, let's do list.append, right? And it even shows you like functions you can use. So list.append, and the element we're going to append is, who wants their name on here? Q2thec, right? So if we append the list, let's see what happens when we return the list right here. And note, look what I'm doing. I'm returning an array of strings. That's the type, an array of strings. Let's return. And you'll notice it's Davon, Jacob, BZ, Sweet, and Q2thec. So what append does is it puts this element at the end of the array, right? Perfect. Now let's see what happens if I try and put like 10 here. Not going to work, right? Because you can't put an integer in an array of strings. So boom, Q2thec. Now let's do append again. Who else wants to name in here? Let's put bam. Right? So if we're execute this script, then look, this is the array that got returned now. So this shows you how you can modify an array, right? Which is awesome. Now, one other thing we can do is let's check the length. So I'm going to change this to an integer. Let's return the list.length. So we can even check the length of the array. So it's 6, right? And that makes sense because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 after we append these two. All right. Now, what other functions are there? Let's actually go through the list because I have a whole list here. Oh, here's contains. So we can use contains. What does contains do? Well, we're going to return a Boolean. And a Boolean is true or false. That's what a Boolean is. So I'll actually put a thing here. So I'll like check equals true, or it can equal false. But it can't equal anything else. That's the only things it can equal. So what we can do is we can return list.contains. And the element we're going to try is Q2thec. So what do you think is going to happen here? What is this going to return? Anyone have any guesses? True, exactly. It's going to return true. Because Q2thec exists in this array. Now, what about if we try this? What's going to happen? False, exactly. False. Boom, so it's false. And the reason for that is because this element does not exist in this array. So contains checks if this element will exist in this array. Perfect. So what other things are there? Remove. Okay, so the last one is remove, and then we'll go on to dictionaries. So remove is a way to remove at a certain element. So let's do list.remove at 1. So this is actually a pretty tricky question. But what if I return the list here, what is it going to return? So we have Davon, Jacob, BZ, Sweet. We put Q2thec and bam at the end. And then it's going to list.remove at 1. And yep, you're totally right, Q2thec. It's going to remove everything but Jacob. I was going to print everything but Jacob. And the reason for that, right, you're right, exactly. The reason for that is because when we remove at this index, it's called an index, right? It's removing the first element. But remember, this isn't actually the first element. This is 0. So it's 0, 1, boop, we're going to remove this one right here, and then we keep everything else. So that's exactly why it's printing that right here. Awesome. Great job. And yeah, now we're going to move on to dictionaries. So let me just delete some of this stuff so we can move on to dictionaries. All right. So we're going to return, just that this doesn't bug out, integer the string. This is working pretty well, by the way. I like it. Well, let's just do var mapping and then return mapping. Okay, perfect. So right now, if we execute this script, look what it's going to return. It's going to return 1 goes to Justin Bieber, 15 goes to Sweet, 100 goes to snowmobiles, and 10,000 goes to Justin Bieber as well. Cool. So what are some things we can do here? Well, let's actually try and access a certain element. So this is going to, let's try and get Justin Bieber. So the way that we do that is we put these little brackets here, and we put the key inside these brackets. So let's put 1. Now here is an interesting problem. This sort of introduces the concept of optionals. So an optional in Cadence is a bit of a tricky concept, actually. It's probably the most tricky thing we've come across so far. But an optional is something like this. It's where you have var name. We're going to have like a string equals Jacob. Now, we all know that this is a string type, right? I'm hearing some background noise. Let me just make sure. Okay. So yeah, so this is a string type, right? Now, an optional type, you'll notice here, like look when I hover here. Look what's happening. It says mismatch types expected string got string question mark. What the heck does that question mark mean? Well, the question mark means an optional type. So what an optional type means is it either means, so an optional type means the thing I told you, which I'll explain in a second, or nil. Okay? And nil means nothing. So what this is saying is right now this is not an optional type. This is just a string. But if I say var name optional equals, or this is the type is a string question mark equals Jacob, you'll notice that this also works. So remember what I said, an optional type, which is this right here. So this variable is an optional type. It's a string optional, means the thing I told you, which is a string, or nil. So either this thing right here is going to be a string or it's going to be nil. Now in this case, it's a string, so it works totally fine. But the key difference is that we can also put nil here. And so this also works. Now the reason for that is because nil basically represents nothing. So in the way to fix a nil is you have to unwrap it. Now this is a little confusing too, but how that works is, so let's say we have, so let's rearrange the order here. Let's say we have a var name optional equals a string question mark, so an optional string equals Jacob. Now in this next variable, we want just a string, and so we want to convert name optional to a string. Now what's the problem here? It's saying, hey, mismatch types, we expected a string, but we got a string question mark, we got a string optional. So how do we take this right here and make it a string type? The way we do that is unwrapping it with an exclamation point. So if we take this exclamation point, it'll take the string optional and it'll make it a string. The only difference here, so the reason that this is a little confusing is because when we unwrap it, it's saying, hey, is this thing nil or is it not nil? If it's not nil, meaning it's not nothing, then this will work. But if we put a nil here, right? If we put a nil here, then when we unwrap this, it's going to cause a problem. So let me actually show you why that is really quick. Let me execute the script. Look, nothing, it's not liking it. On the playground, this would give an error, but we can't use the playground right now. But there's actually an error here. And the reason there's an error is because when we take this nil and try and unwrap it, Cadence is panicking. It's saying, hey, that you're doing something you don't mean to do. So instead, when we put like Jacob here, it's going to work totally fine. And this is printing something else, but I'm just showing you there's no errors, right? So yeah, so that's what an optional does. So you'll notice back to our original problem, it's giving us saying, hey, this mismatched types expected a string and got string optional. So how do we take a string optional here and convert it to a string? What do we have to do to this thing right here? Anyone have any guesses? Exactly, Njai. Great job. Great job. So we have to add an exclamation mark here. And this will take a string optional and make it a string, right? Perfect. So now if we execute the script, it's printing Justin Bieber, which works perfectly. If we were to put, let's put 100 in here, it would print snowmobiles, right? Because that's the key and this is the value. If we put 15, it would print sweet. But what's gonna happen if I put like 17 or 18 here? What do you think is gonna happen when I try and unwrap this? Bit of a tricky question. Error. Yep, exactly. It's going to be an error. And the reason it's an error is because mapping an 18 returns nil. So that's the interesting part, is a dictionary, or I'll say indexing into a dictionary by its key returns a optional type. So right here, like I said, this returns an optional type. It's string ? And the reason for that is because, this can either be nil or it can be an actual value. Now, in this case, mapping an 18 is nil because this doesn't exist, right? It's nothing. So when we unwrap here, it's going to give a problem. And so when we execute, you'll notice, of course, we didn't add errors yet, but you'll notice that it's not working. And the reason for that's because this right here is nil. So when we go to unwrap it, it's not liking it, right? Perfect. So that is dictionaries. So let's look at some things we can do with dictionaries. We can insert. So let's try the insert function. So instead of returning here, let's just return, int into string. That way I can, return mapping. And let's just put this up here. Okay, just so we can work with it. So right now, when I execute this, right, it's printing the whole mapping. Let's try and add some elements to it. So when I do mapping dot insert, right, we can insert a new thing here. So let's insert something at 20. And the name here is going to be emit. Step emit. Just like this. Now when we execute again, boom, there's emit right there. So now emit is in here. 20 maps to emit. Perfect. We can add another one. That insert. And notice by the way that it's not ordered. Well, it is based on increasing the number here. But I generally would not rely on dictionaries being ordered. So never rely on a dictionary being properly ordered. And let's add another one. Let's call it -20 or -10. And the value here is going to be, who wants to be in here? Bread. Boom. So yeah, let's see, like I said, it's not ordered right. But anyway, yeah, so now bread's in there. Perfect. So what are some other things we can do? We tried insert. Let's try remove at a certain key. So let's say we want to get rid of, this key right here, 15, because we don't like sweet, right? So if we do mapping dot remove, the key that we can put in here is 15. So because we don't like sweet at all, we can put execute script, and boom, now sweet is gone forever, thank God. How's everyone doing? Is this sort of making sense? I'm gonna put a little thumbs up in the chat if this is okay. Let me know. If it's hard, then you can downvote it. Don't be afraid. Definitely don't be afraid to downvote it. Exactly, Q2 Tech. So the point here is that any time that we access a dictionary, we have to make sure that we unwrap it because it always returns nil. So one thing I'll put here is that indexing, so indexing into a dictionary always returns an optional type. So we have to unwrap it. Yep. So I see. So we have one downvote. Okay. So Njai. So I see you downvoted. Do you have any questions? And I'll be happy to answer. You don't understand why it's an optional type. Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. So so we understand this, right? So Njai, do you understand this? The inserting and removing. Because if so, then I'll go back and we can skip this part. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so everyone understands this. All right. So let's go back to unwrapping for a second. So what does it mean to unwrap something? Well, let's go back to up here, right? So let's go back up here. So when something is an optional type, it means it can either be a string. So this can either be a string or nil, right? So what's going to happen here is we know as the programmer that it's a string, right? Because we're looking at it. It's a string here. So on this next line, when we say var string, this is not an optional. We need to take, right? Let's get rid of that. We need to take this optional type and we need to make it a string. So just like Bam said, unwrapping it, like putting this unwrap here, means we're uncovering what this actually is. We're going to tell the program if it's a string or if it's nil. So in this case, you know, obviously we as the programmer, we know this is always going to work, right? Because when we unwrap this here, we know this isn't nil, so it's easy to know that this is going to work. However, if we put nil here, it's not giving us an error right now because it's a run type error, but this is not going to work. And the reason this is not going to work is because when you unwrap something, if it sees a nil, it's going to say, hey, Cadence, this is not okay. This is really bad. So if a unwrap, which is that, sees a nil, it will abort the entire program. All right. And also, I will note that this is explained really well, or I think it's explained really well in the optional section. So if you're struggling, make sure to go to the optional section as well. But that's what the unwrap does. So back to Njai's original question, the reason we have to unwrap, right? Let's say we want to unwrap something, so we want to return a string here. The reason that we have to unwrap something is because when you're accessing a dictionary, not an array, it doesn't apply to arrays, but when you're accessing a dictionary, it always returns an optional type. And the reason it returns an optional type is because it doesn't know yet if that thing exists, right? It doesn't know if 1 exists here, right? We know it exists because we know that 1 maps to Justin Bieber, but the program doesn't know that. So we have to put, right, you'll notice that, look, it's actually returning a string question mark type. And I'll show you that actually. Let's say var answer is a string question mark, right? Boom. And then we can return answer. So you'll see, like, it's a string optional type. But, you know, we need the answer to be a string. So the way that we fix that is we unwrap it and put that little exclamation mark here. And see, it's not like a normal string because it's an optional, right? String optional. So the main point, Njai, is that whenever we access a dictionary, it always returns an optional type, and we have to make sure we unwrap it, or quote unquote unwrap it, to get the actual type. So if we were to try this out, you know, it's going to return. Oh, why is this returning nothing? That's weird. Wait, what? Wait, maybe this will work? That's bizarre. Wait, what? Is this being buggy? Oh, no, it's because it's aborting right here. Yeah, that's the problem of not having error messages. So yeah, so you'll see you unwrap it, but if we were to put, like, 20 here, it's not going to work because it doesn't exist. Yep. That's unwrapping. So how is everybody? All good? I think everyone but Njai was the only one that had a question, so that's that. All right. What are some other things I forgot? Oh, one thing that's also really helpful. It's a precaution. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So one other thing I forgot to mention is that you can also return what is it? Like the keys. So if we do mapping.keys, that's going to return an array of integers. So the reason it's going to do that is because, remember, the keys are integers here and the values are strings. So if we do mapping.keys, it's going to return an array of integers at the top. So boom, it's going to return all the keys. And if we wanted to do mapping.values, that'll return all the values. So that'll return an array of strings, like just like that. All right. And yeah, that's about it for this chapter. So yeah. So how's everybody doing? Everyone doing all right? I'm going to send one more little thumbs up in the chat. And if everyone thumbs this up, then we'll go on to the next day. Now, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but we have to go back to the playground because we don't have contracts in our tool. Rip. Rip. No, so no, Brett. So we have to do that no matter what it was. So let's even this, if this was a string to an integer, right? And let's say we change this up. So we mapped bread to 10, right? Even if this was the case, if we wanted to return an integer here, mapping at bread, look what's going to happen. It's going to say, hey, we expected an integer. We got integer question mark. We have to unwrap it. All right. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, and unfortunately we have to go back to the playground. So, our next topic is structs. So structs are going to be really important, and they're also a bit complicated. So let's just dive right into it. So let me get rid of some of this stuff. Let me change the stuff back to what you recognize as well. So you all know public. Boom, public. And we don't know any of this yet. Okay, boom. So this is what we have right now. Let's put var. And remember, yes, exactly, Numini. So remember, in the Wednesday's workshop, what we had was we had a greeting string, and then we had a change greeting, where we passed in a new greeting. That was also a string, and all we said was that self that greeting equals the new greeting, right? So we know that this is a variable that holds a string. This is and this is in a contract, by the way. This is a change greeting that will change this greeting to a different greeting. And this is a init function that will take an initial greeting and set it to this variable when the contract gets deployed, right? So this only happens one time. So that's cool. Now, in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you about structs. So structs are basically a container. Think of it like a container. So public struct, what do I name it in the course? Profile. Okay, so we're going to make a profile. Profile, right? And you put these little brackets here. Now, in this profile, well, let me see what I did. First name, last name, birthday. Okay. So in this profile, we're going to have a bunch of information that we want to store almost in like a container, right? Because when you think about it, this variable, this just stores a greeting like hello, bonjour, goodbye, hola, whatever. It could be whatever you want. But with a profile contains a lot of different information. It can contain your name, your birthday, your account address, your favorite number. So we have to put all of that inside of what's called this struct. Now you always initialize it like this: public struct, and then the name of the struct profile. So in here, we can define a lot of different variables. So let's say public var first name. Well, let's just say name, just to make it simpler. Let's say public variable, what is it? Account, an address. And let's also say public var, what I do? Birthday is a string. And then let's also do like public var favorite number is an integer. All right. Now, just like contracts, we have to put in a init function here. And the reason for this is because when this struct gets created, when it gets created, we have to do something inside of its init function to set all of these values. Or else if this struct got created and we never set the values, it would be an empty struct. It'd be completely useless. So we have to make sure that just like this init function gets run when the contract is deployed, this init function gets run when the struct is created. So this gets run when the struct is created. And note, this can happen infinite times because there's no limit. Whereas this one gets run when the contract is deployed. And note, this can happen only one time. All right, so it's an important distinction to make. So not every init is only run one time. So in here, oh, and also, when I say this can happen infinite times, I mean per struct. So once this struct gets created, then its init function will never get run again, right? But for each struct, it can, it's run initially. So I hope that makes sense. So anyway, self.name, we can say equals Jacob, right? Self.account, we can say equals, I don't know, I'm just going to come up with a random account, equals 5. Now, we can do this and we can keep going with this, but why don't we make things a little more interesting? And let's actually pass in the values in this init function so that we can, make these dynamic. We can make these anything we want. So let's pass in a name. Let's pass in an account. And it's annoying, so you have to type it all out again, but it'll be nice in a second. Let me actually indent these so you can see it better. All right. Cool. So now we can actually say self.name equals name that we're passing in. Self.account equals the account we're passing in. Self.birthday equals birthday. And self.favorite number equals favorite number. So we're setting these things, which are self.name is this one. Self.account is this one, right? And we're setting those equal to the things that we pass in here. Cool. We can pass these in, we can pass them into the init function right there. Awesome. So let's go ahead and let's deploy this. Oh my god. Na, 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 na. Playground. Please, 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 please. Nice. Oh my god, we did it. All right, nice. We did it. Cool. Oh, you're right. I guess that doesn't have that there. I don't know how that worked. Wait, how did that work? Okay, I guess it fixed. So anyway, it fixed. All right, cool. So now we have this struct. All right. So the cool thing about structs is that we can make these anywhere we want. So let's go to a script, for example. And inside here, of course, we have to import. Or actually, I'll show you why we have to import in a second. But let's go ahead, and we're not going to return anything. And we're going to say, let my profile be a profile type equals profile. And we're going to pass in our things here. So we're going to pass in. I'm going to copy this because it's going to be a lot faster. The name, the account, the birthday, and the favorite number. So let's pass those in right here. Oh, let me make sure it's indented. Boom. And let's pass in some stuff. Let's pass in a name. Let's pass in Jacob. Let's pass in an address. Let's pass in a birthday, August. And let's pass in a favorite number, which is 18. Okay? Now, what's the problem here? Why is it saying, hey, we cannot find type profile? Does anyone I haven't explained this yet, but does anyone have any guesses why it's complaining about what profile is? It's saying, wait a minute, I don't know what profile means. Does anyone have any guesses why it's doing that? And if you don't know, it's okay because I haven't explained it yet. BC, you're not allowed, cheater. BC already knows the answer because he graduated. Exactly, NJ, exactly. So the reason it's complaining that it doesn't know what profile is because this script has nothing to do with this contract. It has no idea what we're talking about. So to fix that, we have to import hello world from 01, and we have to say, no, this type is a hello world dot profile, right? Because it's defined inside that contract. So exactly, NJ, perfect. So, and like I said, remember, this profile is defined in the hello world contract. So that's why we need to put that there. All right. And then let's just log my profile. So everyone, please pray to your computer screens, and let's just pray to God this works. Oh my God, it worked. So look what it printed. It printed a profile that has a name of Jacob, a birthday of August, an account of 1, and a favorite number of 18. So woohoo, it worked. That is amazing. So, again, notice that, we can create as many structs as we want. So let's create another profile. I don't know. Let's just create another one. Let's call my second profile. Actually, let's call this BC profile, right? So name, idiot, and birthday, no one cares. And favorite number, I don't know. He probably likes some weird number. All right, cool. So this is BZ's profile, right? It's totally accurate, and we can all agree that it's accurate, right? So if I log BC profile and my profile, let's see what happens. Look here, the two profiles. So there's my profile, and then there's BZ's profile, right? Idiot, no one cares, favorite number, and a random account. Cool. So again, you can deploy this as many times as you want. Yay, that's amazing. Cool. Now, I kind of want to change the description because I don't like what I put here. So I'm going to actually change this note. This can only be run one time, but the difference is it's per struct. Right? So just emphasize this. I don't like what I said earlier that this can be run infinite times because it's not true. The difference is that it can only be run once per struct, right? So that's an important distinction to make. All right. So with that being said, let's tie. Oh, also, I'm gonna put a thumbs up. Does everyone understand what structs are? React to this thumbs up if you get it, and thumbs down if you don't. All right, everyone good? Yeah, exactly. So it's a struct is basically a container. That's the way I think of it. It's a container for other information. Now, let's make things a little more complicated, right? Let's make it a little more complicated. One thing that you can actually add to a struct is a function. So we can put a function inside of this struct. Let's call it change name. New name and string. It's gonna be a string type. And we're gonna say, oops. We're gonna say self.name equals new name. Okay. So this is going to change the name in here. So I'm showing you this because I want to show you that you can actually put functions inside of structs too. So let's go ahead and deploy this, and everyone pray, everyone pray. Oh my god, it worked. Oh my god, it worked. So that's amazing. Now let's go back to our script, and I'm just gonna get rid of VZ's profile, and let's go back to my profile. Now let's log my profile, right? And then down here, let's say my profile dot change name, and let's pass in Tucker, my last name. I don't know. And then let's log my profile again. All right. So what's going to happen here is it's going to print my profile. Then we're going to change the name. And then it's going to print my profile again. And let's see what it prints. No, 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 no. Ugh. No. Things are so hard. All right. Here we go. No. It's because my name is Slacker? True, true. Let me try Slacker and see if that works. Let's try Slacker, right? So let's. I think Slacker's gonna work, right? No. Oh my god. Anyway, okay, so we might not be able to test this because Playground stinks. All right, one more try. All right, let's click save and see what happens. All right. Yes, it worked. Thank you, Bam. Okay, yay. Okay, we got it to work. Perfect. Okay, so I guess clicking save helps. I don't know if that helps anyone, then try it out. But anyway, the point is that look, it changed. So my name changed from Jacob to Tucker, but everything else is the same, right? Cool. Yay, we did it. All right, cool. So it worked. All right. Now the last thing we're gonna do in today's workshop is tie all of our knowledge together. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do, yeah, Playground Master, true. Oh my god. Anyway, so let's actually let's tie all of our knowledge together. So for the record, I'm gonna get rid of the greeting stuff because we don't need it for now, and let's get rid of this. All right, cool. Now let's go back to the top, and let's tie all of our knowledge together. So we're gonna use a dictionary. So public var profiles is going to be a address to a profile. So notice that we can actually use profile as a type now, right? That's actually a type. So just like string or integer, right? We can use profile as a type because we defined a new type. So cool. So we're going to store a dictionary of addresses that map to profile. And more specifically, we're going to map someone's account, right, that's in the profile to the profile itself. So this is going to map a account to a profile. All right. Now, what is this error? Missing initialization of field profiles. Does anyone know why it's giving me this error? It's saying, hey, you're not initializing profiles. And this is a concept that goes back to the first workshop. What am I doing wrong here? Import? Not quite. It's not that we have to import something because, we're not bringing this from a different contract. It's saying, hey, we're missing init, right? That's a hint. Init initialization of field profiles in Hello World. So it's saying, hey, you're not initializing this thing. So what do we have to do? Put it on init. Exactly. So, exactly. Good job, guys. So inside the init of the contract, we have to say self.profiles equals an empty dictionary, right? So if we don't want anything to be in this dictionary at first, we just put an empty dictionary just like that. And that's what you'll see a lot of the time. So that's awesome. But we also have to define a function, right, that's going to add to this profile's, dictionary. So let's add a function, public function, add profile. We're going to take in a name, which is a string. We're going to take in a account, which is an address. I'm going to space these again. Boom, boom. We're going to take in a birthday, which is a string. And we're going to take in a favorite number, which is an int, like that. Boom. And then inside here, we're going to say self.profiles at the account, right? Because self.profile, actually, yeah, I'll do it the way that you all know. The profile is that insert. The key is the account, right? Because the account is the address, and that's the key right here. And the value is a profile. Now, because I've already done this in the script, I'm going to cheat. So sorry, everybody. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to copy from this script because we already did this. So let's go ahead and make a new profile, right? So let's copy this. I'll rearrange it so it makes sense, right? And here, so instead of passing in the name and stuff, we're actually going to just pass in the values that we're passing in right here. So birthday, favorite number, right? It's right there. All right. So what this is going to do is we're going to call an add profile function that takes in a name, an account, or birthday, and a favorite number. We're going to say self.profiles.insert. The key is going to be the account, right? And the value is going to be a profile. The value is a profile that has the name, the account, the birthday, and the favorite number, right? So if we deploy this, let's see if it works, please. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Blah, blah, blah. No. No, this is the last thing we have to do. Okay, let's try really slow. Favorite number. All right. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. That stinks. Okay, so it doesn't want to work. So if I click share, maybe if I just go to a different playground. Man, I really have to ask about this because it's impossible. But what if I tried a new playground, please? Yes. Okay. So apparently a new playground works. That's exciting. Now, okay. So because we're adding a new profile, does anyone have any guesses? Are we gonna have to run a transaction or a script right now in order to add a new profile right here? Transaction. Great job, Enjai. So we have to run a transaction. Let's go to the transaction tab. And, oh, look, it already has a lot of boilerplate code for us. That's great. So this is the transaction boilerplate. Now, remember I told you to not worry about prepare for now. So don't worry about prepare. We're going to worry about execute. So we're going to call hello world dot add profile. And it wants us to pass in all these things. So let's just reformat this for a second. You can see it. All right. So it wants us to pass in all these things to add a new profile. So let's pass them in as transaction arguments, which is the name, string, account, address, birthday, string, and favorite number is going to be an integer. All right. So now we can actually type them in up here, which is awesome. So remember, putting parameters in the transaction thing here, that allows us to type them in over here. So it's actually pretty nice. So the name we can pass in Jacob. The account we can pass in 1, for example. Birthday is August. And favorite number, let's say 10. And so if I run this, hopefully, so if I click send, good, we got no errors. So theoretically, what that just did is it added a new profile to this dictionary. So what we can do is, let's go to the script now. And in here, we're going to import hello world from 01. And we're going to return, we want to return a profile, right? So let's, from OX01. And we're going to return a hello world profile here. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to say return hello world profiles at, so what's the key? The key is 1, right? And the reason the key is 1, by the way, is because when we went to our transaction, remember the account that we passed in, we typed in OX01 here, and if you remember, the key that gets added is the account. So OX01, which is what we just typed in. So when we go to our script again, it's OX01. And look at the error. Look at the error. Mismatch types. Expected hello world.profile got hello world.profile question mark. So to sort of wrap up our lesson here, does anyone remember what we have to do here? Exactly. Wow, look at all of you. Great job. So we put the little exclamation mark here. We type execute, and yes, Playground, I love you so much. It prints a complicated, I don't know why it's so complicated, but anyway, it prints our profile. So that's it. Now, one thing I will mention, by the way, is, I don't know if this is helpful, but what does anyone have, like, can anyone brainstorm what's another solution to this? Does anyone have any ideas? It's actually, like, I didn't really explicitly say this, but there's another solution to this. Does anyone have any ideas? Mm-hmm. Bam. Yeah. Yeah, so the solution here is that, you know, what we were doing is we were trying to make this fit this one, right? But we can actually make this one fit this one. So if we actually put a question mark here, then it's going to return an optional type, and that's also totally fine. So we can click execute here, and it'll print the profile, but what's going to happen if we print this? And we have and also, if you completed the bootcamp, you're not allowed to answer this. So bam, BC, you can't answer this. But what's going to happen if we try this right here? Nil, exactly. Yep. And the reason it's going to be nil, let's actually try it. Look, let's try it. Clear, wait. Execute. Nil, right? Null. That means nil, but nil, right? There it is. Nil. And because it doesn't exist. And if we try to do it the other way, what's going to happen when we do this? Cadence is going to do something. It's going to panic. It's going to be like, hey, that's not okay. It's a problem, right? Look, unexpectedly found nil while forcing an optional value. So this is one of the only times an error message has actually been helpful for us. But it's saying, hey, we unexpectedly found nil while we were forcing the optional value. So it's because this is null, and when we tried to unwrap it, it got nil. So it didn't like it. All right, so that's it for today's lesson. I hope you all enjoyed that. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. We could go a little bit more into, like, you know, this dictionary, but I think that's it for now. Let me just make sure I covered everything. Okay, yeah. So for your quest, you need to make a new struct. So your quest is to make a new struct that has different information. You're going to create a function to add to that array or dictionary. So in this example, we made a dictionary and we added to that. But in your quest, you also have the option to add to an array. So if you want to make an array instead, you can do that. And that way, instead of inserting add a key, you can do .append, and you can just append a new profile, right? And that will also work totally fine. So if you want to do arrays instead, that's also fine. And then, yeah, you're going to add a transaction to call that function, just like we did. We called add profile in our transaction. And then in our script, we, you know, in our script, we read it. So that's your quest. Cool. That's it, everybody. Hope that was helpful. And our next workshop is next Wednesday. So in, like, what, 5 days? So you have a while until the next workshop. So my biggest suggestion for you would be to just review all the material, and make sure that you you know, make sure that you have at least chapter 1 and 2 down before the next workshop. And in the next workshop, we're going to be going through I think it's chapter 3, day 1 and 2. So we've already completed 2 chapters. Good job, guys. Woohoo! We're 2/5 of the way there. Becoming cadence pros. All right, I'm gonna end the stream there. Thanks, everybody. Oh my God, float. You're right. I have to make a float. Thanks, Enjai. Wait. Stick around for your float. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna make it. I totally forgot about that. Wait, what did I call the last one? So for the record, it's in the Emerald Academy bootcamp. So we called it, yeah, wait, let me copy the name. Wait, I'm actually gonna go to a new tab so I can, like, look at what I called it. Let's create an event. Workshop number 2. The event URL is just Discord. The event description, what I call it right here. Copy that. For workshop number 2, add event to group Emerald Academy. The image is, where's the image? Emerald Academy. Boom. Oh wait, that looks small to me. Does not look right. I think that's the wrong image. Where's the right image? Does anyone have the Emerald Academy image? I don't know why I don't have it. Where is it? What the heck? Wait, what? So weird. Okay, this is bizarre. For some reason, I don't have Emerald. Oh, nice. You have it. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna save this. Academy. All right, thanks, Brett, for sending that. Let's see if this works. Oh wait, I have to open it up in a browser. Okay, let's try this. All right, apparently I can't save it. What the heck is? Oh, save image. Academy. Sorry guys, I should have done this before. I never remember to do this actually. All right, maybe that's better. No, it's the same. Why is it so little? Yeah, okay, something's wrong. Maybe it's in my drive. I think I have it in my drive, actually. Oh, I do. Okay, nice. EC education. Download. Okay, I think I finally have it. Nice. Okay. Oh my god, that was such a struggle. All right, there it is. Non-tradable. Time limit. I'll give everyone until tomorrow. Why not? Secret code. All right, the code is going to be Jacob. That's the code, my name. And let's create it, right? Everything's fine. All right. Create the float. So remember, the code is Jacob. And I'll send the link in a second here. Oh, I'm also going to stop the stream there. Actually, no, I'll keep it going so people can see it. Yeah, all lowercase, QT Tech, all lowercase. All right, so event created. Let's go to the events. Where is it? Right here. Boom. And I'll send this link in the chat. All right, everybody, let's see who gets it first. Looks like BC's already trying to claim it. Stinking rat. I'm going to get there first, BC.